Chosen one. Listen carefully. This moment is not random, and you know it deep inside. You didn't stumble here by accident. The scroll of time has been turned, and this page is for you. Right before everything changes, heaven pauses the noise around you and whispers, "Get ready. It is your hour." You have felt it for a while, that silent tension in your chest, the sensation that something is about to break, yet you cannot see it with your natural eyes. That feeling is not madness. It is not wishful thinking. It is the sign that the season you have been waiting for is shifting. You are standing at the edge of a new chapter. Imagine a bow in the hands of an archer. The arrow feels the pressure as it is drawn back. The tension is uncomfortable, almost unbearable. But the backward stretch is not punishment. It is the preparation for release. The further the pull, the greater the distance. And you, chosen one, are that arrow. Everything that felt like a setback was heaven's way of pulling you into position for extraordinary release. I want to tell you a story. There was a young woman, quiet, overlooked, almost invisible in her community. She prayed for years, but the heavens seemed silent. She served faithfully, yet no one noticed. In her heart, she wrestled with the thought that maybe her life would remain hidden forever. But one day, unexpectedly, the door opened. The very people who dismissed her were forced to watch as her gift made room for her. What happened? Heaven's timing arrived. Her story echoes Joseph in the ancient texts, betrayed, forgotten in prison, but raised in a single day to sit in authority. And now her story echoes yours. This is the law of the kingdom. Hiddenness is not rejection. It is protection until the hour of unveiling. Seeds do not remain seeds forever. They may sleep beneath the soil, but they are destined to break through. You, too, are about to break through. As the prophet declared in the book of Isaiah, chapter 14, verse 24, "The Lord Almighty has sworn, surely, as I have planned, so it will be, as I have purposed, so it will happen." Hold those words close. They are not written for someone else thousands of years ago. They are breathing over you now. God's plan for your life cannot be overturned. His purpose for you will not be erased. Every delay, every betrayal, every long night of waiting was still inside His design. The enemy may have tried to whisper, "You've missed it." But the voice of the Lord thunders, "No, it is unfolding exactly as I planned." And think of yourself as a vessel on a potter's wheel, spinning, turning, pressed on every side, reshaped again and again. At times you thought you were breaking, but the potter's hand was steady. He never lost grip of you. He was forming strength in your walls, depth in your frame, capacity in your core. And now the shaping is nearly finished. Soon, He will lift you off the wheel and set you where you belong. Chosen one, I need you to understand, you are about to cross a line of no return. After this shift, you will never be the same. The doors that are opening will not be like the doors of your past. They are doors that no man can shut. Relationships may change. Environments may shift. And some who once walked with you will no longer recognize you. Do not mourn what is leaving. The shaking is part of the separation. What belongs to your future cannot remain attached to your past. And now, I will ask you to do something simple, but powerful. If your spirit knows these words are true, don't keep it silent. Let heaven and earth witness your agreement. Tap like on this message. Share it with someone who needs to hear the same confirmation. And subscribe so you stay connected to the flow of prophetic direction. Then, as a prophetic act, write the number 111 inches, the comments below. That number is a symbol of divine beginnings, of alignment with heaven's order, of doors that swing wide at the appointed time. This is more than an instruction. It is a declaration. By doing it, you say, yes, I am ready. Yes, I choose my calling. Yes, I step into what was always mine. You are not here by mistake. This is the moment before the breakthrough. This is the stillness before the storm of glory. This is the whisper before the trumpet. And you, chosen one, are being summoned into destiny. Get ready, because nothing will remain the same after this. You carry marks. Chosen one, not the kind people can always see, but the invisible scars of battles survived. You have walked through seasons that nearly swallowed you whole. And yet here you are, every rejection, every closed door, every silent tear has been written into the fabric of your destiny. You are not broken because of them, you are marked by them. And those marks are proof that heaven has invested in your story. There are wounds that words cannot explain. The kind of nights when you tried to pray, but your heart felt too heavy to form sentences. The mornings when you forced yourself out of bed, though it felt like the weight of the world was pressing you back down. Others may look at you and only see the surface. But God has been watching the depths. Every sigh, every whisper, every drop of pain has been recorded. Think of gold. Before it becomes something precious and radiant, it must pass through fire, not once, but again and again, until all the impurities rise to the surface and are removed. You have been through fire, not to destroy you, but to refine you. And though the flames hurt, they could not consume you. What remains is purer, stronger, unshakable. I remember the story of Hannah. She longed for a child and endured ridicule from those around her. Her prayers seemed unanswered year after year. Her rival mocked her. Her own husband could not understand the ache in her soul, but she poured her tears at the altar until heaven could not stay silent. When the answer finally came, her son Samuel was not just a child. He was a prophet who would shift the destiny of Israel. Her pain was not wasted. It was converted into power. Your pain, too, carries that kind of destiny. There were moments when you thought, why me? Why must I carry so much? But the truth is, you were chosen precisely because you could carry it. Others would have crumbled under the weight you've endured. Others would have surrendered long ago. But the fact that you are still here is the evidence of your resilience. Heaven trusted you with that load because heaven also knew the strength hidden inside you. Your scars are not shame, they are stories. Each one is a chapter that testifies, you survived. You overcame. You did not stay down. Like a tree standing tall after storms, its bark marked and cracked by lightning, yet its roots deeper than before. You too stand as living proof of endurance. The storm did not break you, it made you unshakable. The Apostle Paul reminds us in his second letter to the Corinthians, chapter 4, verse 8, we are hard-pressed on every side, but not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair, Let that truth sink into your spirit. Yes, you have been pressed. Yes, you have been confused. But no, you were not destroyed. And that contradiction, wounded yet standing, weary yet walking, is the evidence of the hand of God over your life. Chosen one, you may not realize it yet, but those who once looked down on you will one day see the power of God revealed through you. The very things that tried to bury you will become testimonies that lift others. Just as Joseph's betrayal positioned him for the palace, and Hannah's sorrow prepared her for Samuel, your suffering has prepared you for glory. So do not despise your scars. They are not a curse, they are a crown in disguise. One day, when you speak, others will recognize an authority in your words. Because you are not speaking theory, you are speaking survival. You have walked it, and now you carry it. Your story is not over. In fact, it is only beginning to unfold. What once felt like the end was only the introduction. And though the scars remain, they do not define your weakness, they define your strength. You, chosen one, are marked, not for shame, not for defeat, but for destiny. You are marked for a greater unveiling. The very trials you thought would silence you have only carved a deeper well inside your spirit. When others drink from your testimony, they will taste the sweetness of endurance mixed with the strength of God's grace. What was once your burden is becoming your banner. What once made you weep will one day make you roar. Scars that seemed like evidence of defeat will shine as medals of honor, proof that you endured when others fell away. Chosen one, lift your head. You are not just surviving, you are rising. This is only the beginning. Chosen one, your very presence disturbs the plans of darkness. Have you noticed how some people cannot explain why they dislike you? Why they feel uneasy around you? Why they suddenly resist you even when you've done nothing wrong? It is not you they are reacting to. It is the light inside you. The flame of heaven that you carry exposes what hides in the shadows. Darkness has always feared light. Even the smallest candle in a pitch-black cave changes everything. Your words, your actions, even your silence carry weight. That is why you have often been misunderstood, opposed, and even targeted. The resistance you face is not personal, it is spiritual. Think about Jesus. When he walked into a room, demons cried out, even before he spoke. His presence disrupted the unseen atmosphere. In the same way, you have walked into spaces and unknowingly shifted the climate. People whispered, "I don't know why, but something feels different when they arrive." That difference is the mark of being chosen. You carry a light that cannot be hidden. You are like a lighthouse on a stormy shore. Ships lost at sea may curse the storm, but they look for the light, and when they see it, their hearts steady because they know rescue is near. That is you. You stand as a signpost of hope in a generation drowning in confusion. But understand this, the brighter your light shines, the more the shadows will try to resist. You are not attacked because you are weak. You are attacked because you are dangerous to the enemy's agenda. The whispers behind your back, the sudden betrayals, the strange opposition, all of it is confirmation. Hell does not fight those it does not fear. The prophet Nahum wrote in chapter 1, verse 7, "The Lord is good, a refuge in times of trouble. He cares for those who trust in him. Lo, even when the darkness tries to rise, you are not alone. Your refuge is secure. You are surrounded by a shield unseen by human eyes. That is why you have endured battles others could not. That is why the fire did not consume you, and the waters did not drown you. Now, I want you to make a declaration with me. Write in the comments, "Light wins." These two words may seem simple, but they are powerful. They are a proclamation that no matter how dark it gets, your destiny is to shine. When you type it, you are agreeing with heaven's verdict that the darkness cannot and will not overcome you. Every time you declare it, you reinforce the truth that has been written about you from the beginning. You are chosen to carry light, and no weapon formed against you will prosper. So do not shrink back when you feel the resistance. Do not dim your brightness to make others comfortable. Stand tall, shine boldly, and remember, your light terrifies the darkness because it carries the authority of God. Chosen one, this is not the season to hide. This is the season to rise. And maybe you've wondered, why me? Why does it feel like I carry battles that others don't even notice? The reason is simple. Light is always tested. Before a lamp is placed on a stand, the flame must first endure the strike of fire. You have endured that strike. And what remains is not fragility, but endurance. When people resist you, it is often because your light reveals what they are trying to hide. Someone living in dishonesty feels exposed when truth walks into the room. Someone holding bitterness feels unsettled when love enters. It is not about you personally, it is about the kingdom you represent. This is why you must not take rejection as failure. Rejection is often proof that your presence carries weight. Doors that closed were not meant to confine you. They were meant to redirect you to places where your light is needed most. Remember, the darker the environment, the brighter the flame appears. In times when you feel surrounded by negativity, pause and realize this is the perfect backdrop for your purpose. You are like the moon against a night sky. The deeper the blackness, the more undeniable your glow. So when you declare light wins, you are not only speaking over yourself, you are releasing courage for others who feel lost. Someone in silence is waiting for your boldness to remind them that hope still exists, that truth still stands, and that heaven has not abandoned them. Chosen one, never underestimate the influence you carry. Your light is not small. It is not fragile. It is heaven's answer to darkness in this hour. And your willingness to shine is what will change everything. The season of hiddenness does not last forever. Chosen one, it may feel as though you have been overlooked, forgotten, or pushed aside. But what you have walked through was not neglect, it was divine strategy. The silence you endured was not emptiness. It was the careful construction of a foundation strong enough to carry what is coming. There are times when God shields his chosen ones, not because they are unworthy, but because their worth is too great to be wasted in the wrong place. Diamonds are not displayed while they are being formed deep beneath the earth. They remain unseen, hidden under pressure, until the day they are revealed. That has been your life pressure. Weight, obscurity. But obscurity has never meant insignificance. Consider David. Before he was king, before songs were written about his victories, he was hidden in the fields with sheep. No one celebrated him. Even his family forgot him when the prophet Samuel came looking for the one God had chosen. Yet in those hidden fields, David learned the sound of God's voice, the rhythm of worship, and the courage to face lions and bears. What looked like obscurity was actually preparation. By the time Goliath appeared, David's hidden training was more than enough to secure victory. Your hidden seasons have not been wasted. They were classrooms. Every tear watered the soil of wisdom. Every lonely hour carved out greater depth in your spirit. Every unanswered question taught you to lean into faith rather than sight. You were being forged for something larger than you could see. The Word of God reminds us in the book of Psalms, chapter 31, verse 19, how abundant are the good things that you have stored up for those who fear you, that you bestow in the sight of all, on those who take refuge in you. And notice the phrase, stored up. That is what has been happening in your hidden season. Good things, unseen, quietly stored, favor, opportunities, connections, all waiting until the appointed hour, when God Himself will unveil them. When that moment comes, the very ones who overlooked you will be forced to witness what heaven has been building in silence. Think of a bowstring being tightened, at rest. It is invisible, unnoticed, but the more it is pulled back, the more tension builds. And when it is released, the arrow flies farther than anyone expected. Hiddenness was your bowstring. You felt the pull, the strain, the pressure. But when heaven releases you, you will move faster and farther than you imagined. There is a sacred beauty in anonymity. While no one was watching, you were being healed. While no one applauded, your roots went deeper. While others flaunted surface-level success, you were being prepared for longevity. The oak tree does not sprout overnight, but when it does, storms cannot topple it. That is who you are becoming, anchored, steady, unshakable. Perhaps you remember moments when you questioned why you were hidden. You saw others promoted quickly, applauded loudly, advancing in ways you longed for. You wondered, did I miss my chance? The truth is, those moments were never your measure. Your timeline was never tied to theirs. God hides His treasures until the perfect hour, because treasures revealed too soon are vulnerable to thieves. You were being protected until the right time. And now, chosen one, the right time draws near. Hiddenness is not permanent. Every season has an end. And the end of concealment is the beginning of revelation. Just as Joseph stepped out of prison and into the palace in a single day, so your unveiling will come suddenly. The people who once walked past you will suddenly ask for your wisdom. The gifts you carried silently will make room for you publicly. What was hidden will no longer be able to remain in the shadows. Your story is a reminder that delay is not denial. Silence is not rejection. Hiddenness is not the absence of destiny, it is the womb of destiny. And when the womb opens, what emerges cannot be ignored. So rest assured, the season of being overlooked is closing. The curtain is about to lift. And when it does, the world will finally see what heaven has seen all along. You were never forgotten, never abandoned, never ordinary. You were chosen, and your unveiling is near. And when the unveiling begins, it will not come with a whisper, but with a trumpet. What was quiet for years will burst forth with undeniable clarity. The season of silence will give way to the season of testimony. Chosen one, lift your eyes. Hiddenness was your cocoon, but now comes your wings. You will rise, and nothing will stop it. There are moments in life when the signs are too loud to ignore. Chosen one. Look around you, haven't you noticed it? The patterns, the whispers, the doors that seem to shift before your very eyes. These are not coincidences. They are confirmations. Heaven has been speaking to you in the language of signs, calling your attention to the nearness of breakthrough. A conversation that seemed ordinary but carried a strange weight. A dream that stayed with you long after you woke. An unexpected delay that spared you from hidden harm. These are the fingerprints of God. The same one who guided Israel with a pillar of fire by night and a cloud by day is guiding you now. Not always with thunder, but with quiet patterns that shape your path. The prophet Habakkuk wrote in chapter 2, verse 3, "For the revelation awaits an appointed time. It speaks of the end and will not prove false. Though it linger, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay." End quote. You are standing at that threshold. The revelation of your purpose, long awaited, is speaking. Though you have felt the delay, heaven declares it will not prove false. It is closer than your breath, nearer than you know. Think of a river frozen in winter. To the eye, it looks lifeless, unmoving, locked in ice. But underneath, the water is still flowing, still alive, waiting for the thaw. And then, suddenly, in one day of warmth, the ice breaks, and the river surges forward with unstoppable force. That is what is happening in your life. Beneath the surface, God has been moving, and the thaw is about to come. When signs begin to multiply, it is heaven's way of saying, "Get ready." A person comes back into your life unexpectedly, not for nostalgia, but for divine closure. A phrase you read in Scripture leaps into your spirit as if it were written for you today. A song plays in the background at just the right moment, and you feel your heart burn with recognition. These are not random, they are confirmations. But the greatest confirmation is not outside of you. It is the whisper within, that quiet assurance that keeps returning no matter how much you doubt. The conviction that won't die, the knowing that you cannot explain, that is the Spirit of God, bearing witness that you are chosen, that you are about to step into a divine appointment. And here is where I must pause, because at moments like this, the heart needs to respond, not with obligation, not with force, but with the beauty of voluntary surrender. When you encounter signs from heaven, you are being invited to agree, to align, to participate. Think of it like lighting a candle in a cathedral. No one forces you to do it. You approach quietly. You strike the flame. You set it before the altar, and in that simple act, you join your heart with heaven's song. That is what it means to respond to this word. Press like, not as a click, but as a flame, saying, "I receive this light." End quote. Share this message not as an obligation, but as if you are passing a torch into someone else's night. Subscribe not as a routine, but as if you are planting your feet deeper into the river of living waters. Your choice is not demanded, it is offered. It is an invitation into a larger story, and when you choose to engage, heaven writes it down. You, chosen one, have seen the signs. You have felt the whisper. You have carried the confirmation in your soul. Now comes the moment of agreement. The moment when you decide, will I let this fire burn quietly, or will I join it, spread it, and let it consume the darkness? The signs are not just around you, they are in you. your heartbeat, your resilience, your very survival until this moment is itself a sign. You are not forgotten. You are not lost. You are standing at the place where heaven announces, it is time. And when you respond, even in the smallest way, you step into rhythm with eternity, like the river breaking its ice, like the candle's flame glowing in the dark, like the prophet's words. Finally, finding their appointed hour, you move with God's timing. Chosen one, the signs have spoken, the rest is up to you, and when heaven calls your name, hesitation is no longer your portion. What was once delayed now accelerates. What was once hidden now shines. Chosen one, step forward without fear. The signs are already blazing before you, and destiny is waiting for your answer. Chosen one, let us speak about the weight you have carried. For years, you have walked with burdens that no one else could see. You smiled when you wanted to weep. You kept moving when your legs felt heavy as stone. You carried responsibilities that would have crushed another. And yet, here you are. There is a mystery to the weight God allows His chosen ones to bear. It is not punishment. Though it often feels unbearable, it is training. Though it often feels like breaking. Just as a blacksmith hammers iron into a sword, the constant pounding has not been random, it has been purposeful. The blows you felt were not meant to destroy you, but to shape you into a weapon that could not bend under pressure. Think of a bridge stretched across a wide river. Before it can carry the weight of thousands, it must be tested. Engineers will pile pressure upon it, ton after ton, to see if it can withstand what lies ahead. Only then will it be trusted with the traffic of the future. That is why your life has felt so heavy. Heaven was proving your strength for what is coming. The Apostle Peter reminds us in his first letter, chapter 5, verse 10, "And the God of all grace, who called you to His eternal glory in Christ, after you have suffered a little while, will Himself restore you and make you strong, firm and steadfast." And do you see it? Chosen one. Suffering does not have the last word. Restauration douce. The pressure is not forever. The fire is not eternal. There is a finish line. And beyond it is a version of you that is unshakable. Perhaps you recall the story of Job, a man who lost nearly everything: his children, his wealth, his health. His friends abandoned him. His wife urged him to give up. Yet even in ashes, Job whispered his trust in God, and when his testing was finished, his restoration was greater than his loss. His weight became his witness. Your story carries the same pattern. The very things that pressed you will one day amplify your testimony. It has not been easy. The nights were long, the prayers unanswered, the silence deafening. You carried questions that pierced deeper than any sword. But while you wondered if heaven was ignoring you, heaven was strengthening you. Your shoulders are stronger than you realize. You have walked through fire, but you do not smell of smoke. You have stood in storms, but your roots are deeper now. And here is the truth. The weight has been your teacher. It has taught you patience, empathy, wisdom, and resilience. It has carved out depth in your spirit so that when blessing comes, you will not be shallow. When influence comes, you will not be corrupted. When doors open, you will not collapse under the responsibility. You will carry it, because you have carried heavier things already. Think of yourself as a mountain climber. The climb is slow, painful, filled with slips and exhaustion. But at the summit, the view is something only the climber can describe. Others who stayed in the valley will never see what you will see. The weight of the climb has prepared you for the wonder of the peak. Now listen carefully. This is your moment of prophetic response. To mark the end of one season and the beginning of another, type in the comments 444. This number is not empty. 444 means foundation. God is setting you steady, unshakable, and ready for the next level. By writing it, you are declaring, I have carried the weight, but I will not collapse. I am being established. I am ready for what is next. Oh, and do not miss this. Your response is not just for you. Someone else will see it and find courage. Someone silently scrolling, drowning under their own weight, will read your bold act and realize, if they can declare it, so can I. In that moment, you become not just a survivor of weight, but a carrier of lightness to others. Chosen one. The season of carrying weight without reason is closing. Soon, the reason will reveal itself. The burdens that bent your back will become the stories that lift your voice. The heaviness you thought would break you has actually built you. And when the world looks at you, they will not just see a person, they will see a testimony wrapped in flesh. So stand tall. The weight is shifting. The hand that pressed you is now lifting you. And when you rise, you will not only carry your own destiny, you will carry the hope of others who thought they could not endure. Your weight was never wasted. It was heaven's investment. And now the return is about to come. There comes a point in every chosen one's journey when the path splits before them. Two roads open, and both demand a choice. One is comfortable, familiar, seemingly safe, but it leads only in circles, keeping you where you have always been. The other is narrow, uncertain, filled with risk, yet it carries the breath of destiny. You are standing at that crossroads now. Crossroads are never accidental. They are the places where heaven pauses your journey and whispers, which direction will you take? It is not simply about choices in career, relationships, or location, though those may be included. It is about alignment, about whether your life bends toward the purposes of God or remains entangled in the weight of fear and delay. Throughout Scripture, we see these pivotal moments. Joshua once stood before the tribes of Israel and drew a line in the sand. They could serve the idols of the land, or they could serve the Lord. His words still echo today. Choose this day whom you will serve. Crossroads are not about convenience, they are about covenant. Think of Elijah on Mount Carmel. He looked at a wavering nation and asked them, "How long will you waver between two opinions?" That moment was not gentle, it was sharp. It forced clarity. And you, chosen one, are standing in a moment just like that. You have been given the gift of choice, and heaven is watching how you respond. Crossroads often come wrapped in disguise. They do not always appear with flashing signs. Sometimes they come through a conversation with a friend that stirs your spirit. Sometimes through an opportunity that looks small but carries weight. Sometimes through the sudden stirring in your heart that tells you, this is no longer where you belong. I remember the story of Ruth, widow-wed. With every reason to return to the safety of her homeland, she instead chose the uncertain path of following Naomi into a foreign land. That decision, that single step at a crossroads, positioned her to become the great-grandmother of David, the lineage of the Messiah. Had she chosen safety, her story would have ended in obscurity, but because she chose faith, her name is remembered forever. That is the power of the crossroads. It magnifies the weight of a single step. Do not underestimate the quiet nudge you feel. Decisions at crossroads rarely shout. They whisper. They will not always make sense on paper, but they will resonate in your spirit. They will require courage, because true destiny never walks the path of least resistance. Think of a traveler standing at a fork in the wilderness. One path is wide, lined with lamps, full of voices and laughter. The other is narrow, dim, almost lonely. Yet somewhere deep inside, the traveler knows the narrow path leads to higher ground. That is where you are, chosen one. And the choice before you is not small, it is history-shaping. The Apostle Paul wrote in his letter to the Romans, chapter 12, verse 2, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing and perfect will." This is the test of the crossroads. Will you conform to what is safe, what is expected, what others say you should do? Or will you choose the narrow way of transformation, the path that requires faith, the road that may cost you but will ultimately crown you? Crossroads require letting go. You cannot walk both roads at once. Some relationships will not survive the turn. Some habits must die for you to advance. Some comforts must be abandoned so that new strength can rise. It is not a punishment, it is pruning. And pruning always precedes fruitfulness. Do not fear the weight of the decision. The God who brought you to the crossroads will not abandon you there. He provides wisdom to those who ask. He strengthens the heart that trembles, but says yes anyway. He delights in the one who steps into the unknown with trust. Chosen one. This is not just another choice. It is the choice, the one that sets the trajectory for years to come. What you decide now determines what doors open next. Just as Ruth's yes led her into destiny, your yes today can shape generations. Stand still for a moment. Listen. The crossroads are holy ground. Heaven is waiting. The earth is silent. And your spirit knows the truth. You cannot remain where you are. A step must be taken, and when you take it, though fear may whisper, faith will roar. The path may be narrow, but it will lead you into wide open spaces of promise. Chosen one. The crossroads are before you. Choose with courage. Choose with faith. Choose with the knowledge that your destiny has always been waiting on the other side. When God lifts the veil, what has been hidden in the shadows comes into full light. Chosen one. You have walked seasons where faces smiled at you, but hearts whispered against you. You have felt the sting of betrayal, even when you could not prove it. You have sensed an atmosphere shifting around you without anyone admitting it. And now, heaven declares, the veil is about to be removed. This unveiling is not meant to shame you, but to strengthen you. For too long, you have wondered who truly walks with you and who walks against you. The ambiguity has left you weary, unsure of where to place your trust. But the Lord is not a God of confusion. He is a God of truth, and his light reveals what darkness tries to hide. Imagine a stage before a performance. Heavy curtains conceal what has been built in secret. The audience waits. The music swells. And then, suddenly, The curtain rises. What was unseen is revealed, and every hidden detail is exposed. That is the hour you are in, the lifting of the curtain, the revelation of what has been in the dark. Scripture reminds us in the letter to the Hebrews, chapter 4, verse 13. Nothing in all creation is hidden from God's sight. Everything is uncovered and laid bare before the eyes of Him to whom we must give account. This truth may feel sobering, but it is also liberating. What people tried to conceal from you cannot remain hidden forever. The whispered conversations, the hidden motives, the masks that people wore, these are about to be exposed. And in the same way, the gifts, the anointing, and the purity you carried in secret will also be revealed. There is always a double unveiling. God not only reveals the schemes of the enemy, but also unveils the strength of His chosen ones. Do you remember Esther? For years, she concealed her identity, living quietly in the palace. But when the time of unveiling came, she could no longer stay silent. She declared who she was. And through her unveiling, a nation was saved. In your own life, you will see the same. The hour of hiding is over. The time of pretending, of enduring false masks, has come to an end. You will know with clarity who is for you and who is against you. But more importantly, you will finally see yourself as heaven has always seen you. Think of a mirror covered in dust. For years, it reflects only faint outlines. But when the hand wipes it clean, the reflection shines with clarity. That is what is happening now. The veil of distortion is being removed, and you will recognize the true image of who you are. It may be painful at first. Unveilings often are. You may lose some alliances you thought were secure. You may realize some voices you trusted were not sincere. But do not fear the loss. Whatever cannot stand in truth was never meant to stand in your destiny. The pruning is not cruelty, it is preparation for purity of purpose. At the same time, your unveiling will reveal treasures others never noticed. Those long nights of prayer, the quiet acts of kindness, the integrity you carried when no one was watching, these will now rise to the surface. And people will marvel, not because you suddenly became great, but because heaven chose the moment to reveal what was always inside you. Do not shrink back when the veil lifts. Do not apologize for the truth. Do not mourn what falls away. You are being prepared for clarity. And clarity is the beginning of power. The moment you see clearly, you will walk differently. You will speak differently. You will decide differently. Chosen one. When God lifts the veil, the fog of uncertainty lifts with it. The counterfeit fades, and the authentic remains. What is real will endure. What is false will crumble. And you will stand, unveiled, radiant with the light of truth, finally free to walk fully in your calling. And when the unveiling comes, do not be surprised by the sudden shifts around you. Some will step closer with sincerity, while others will quietly fade away. Both movements are part of the design. What is true must remain, and what is false must depart. This is the wisdom of God at work. Chosen one. The lifting of the veil is not to leave you empty, but to position you rightly. The circle may grow smaller, but the foundation will grow stronger. What remains after the unveiling will be unshakable. And with that clarity, you will finally move freely. Chosen one. When the unveiling happens, something powerful also begins inside you. Your voice finds its strength. For years, you held words back. You questioned yourself, doubted your insight, wondered if anyone would truly listen. But now comes the hour when silence is no longer an option. Your testimony, your perspective, your truth, it matters more than you know. There is authority in a voice refined through fire. When you speak, you are not repeating theories, you are declaring survival, endurance, and revelation. That kind of voice cannot be manufactured. It can only be forged. And this is why your words will carry weight. They will pierce through noise. They will break chains in ways you may not even realize. Think of Ezekiel, standing in the valley of dry bones. God did not move until Ezekiel spoke. It was the voice of a man aligned with heaven that caused bones to rattle, flesh to form, and life to return. In the same way, your agreement with heaven, spoken aloud, activates movements in the unseen. Your words are not empty, they are instruments of creation. The Apostle James wrote in his letter, chapter 3, verse 5, "Likewise, the tongue is a small part of the body, but it makes great boasts. Consider what a great forest is set on fire by a small spark. A spark, that is all it takes. And you, chosen one, carry that spark in your voice. When you declare truth, even in small phrases, the ripple spreads farther than your eyes can see. This is why I ask you now, as a prophetic act, to type in the comments, "I stand." Oh, these two words are simple, but they are loaded with power. By writing them, you declare to heaven and earth, "I will not bow to fear. I will not sink back into silence. I choose to rise. I choose to stand." And when others see your declaration, they too will find courage. Sometimes all it takes is one voice saying, "I stand," for another heart to realize, "I can stand too." Your words become a spark for someone else's fire. Chosen one, do not underestimate this moment. Your stand is not just for yourself, it is for a generation that needs reminders of courage. In a world full of noise, your declaration cuts through like thunder. In a field of ashes, your words are the spark of flame. So speak, write, declare, stand, for when you do, heaven moves in agreement, and what begins as a whisper in your spirit becomes a roar that shifts the atmosphere. And when you say, "I stand," you are not simply announcing a position, you are entering into alignment with the very posture of heaven. For the throne of God is never shaken. His kingdom is never moved. And when you declare your stand, you mirror that unshakable throne. Your stand is not only against fear, but also against compromise. In a world where many bend to convenience, to popularity, or to the comfort of silence, your stand becomes a prophetic contradiction. It declares that faith still has a voice, that truth still has witnesses, that courage still exists in human form. Do not think your stand is unnoticed. In the unseen realm, angels record it as a testimony, demons recognize it as resistance, and heaven marks it as loyalty. What seems like a small phrase typed on a screen is actually thunder in the spirit. There is power in solidarity. When one stands, another is inspired. When a few stand together, courage multiplies. And when a multitude stands, history shifts. Remember how the early disciples stood even when threatened, beaten, and imprisoned. Their stance birthed a movement that still echoes today. Yours is part of that same lineage. I Stand is not only about where you are, it is also about where you are going. A person who refuses to bow today will be trusted with authority tomorrow. For standing builds backbone, and backbone is what carries crowns. Destiny rests on shoulders that know how to remain upright. And yes, standing sometimes feels lonely. But even if others leave, know this: heaven never abandons the one who chooses faith over fear. The same God who strengthened Daniel in the lion's den and sustained Paul in prison is the same God who now holds you steady. So when you write it, when you whisper it, when you declare it, let your spirit believe it. I stand, not in my own strength, but in the strength of the one who called me, and in that stand, you will see darkness retreat, clarity rise, and destiny unfold. There are seasons when heaven makes a public declaration over your life. Chosen one, you have endured in silence. You have prayed in the shadows. You have fought wars. No one applauded. But now the time has come for heaven's endorsement, the visible mark that says, "This one belongs to me. This one carries my seal." Heaven's endorsement is not the applause of people, it is the approval of God. Applause fades. Opinions shift. Crowds come and go. But the stamp of God is eternal. It cannot be revoked. It cannot be stolen. It cannot be erased. When He says yes, no voice in earth or hell can say no. Think of David again, overlooked by his family, forgotten by his father, left in the fields, while others stood before the prophet. Yet when Samuel poured oil upon his head, no man's doubt could cancel God's decree. The oil marked him. And even though years of waiting still followed, David carried the assurance that heaven had already spoken. That is what heaven's endorsement does. It gives you certainty when the world gives you delay. The Apostle Paul wrote in his second letter to the Corinthians, chapter 1, verse 22, He set His seal of ownership on us and put His Spirit in our hearts, as a deposit, guaranteeing what is to come. You carry that seal already. The Spirit inside you is the endorsement of God, the invisible ink that heaven has written across your life. And now, in this season, that invisible mark begins to manifest in visible ways. Doors will open not because of your resume, but because of God's signature. Opportunities will appear not because of your connections, but because of heaven's appointment. People will recognize something different about you, even if they cannot explain it. That is heaven's endorsement, shining through. Think of a king's wax seal pressed onto parchment. Once it is marked, no one dares to question the letter's authority. You are that parchment. And the Spirit of God is the royal seal pressed upon your destiny. But here is the mystery. Heaven often invites us to respond to His endorsement with our own. Just as oil poured on David's head was confirmed by David's faithful obedience, so too your endorsement becomes complete when you willingly align with it. And this is where your heart is called to respond, not by force, not by obligation, but by the beauty of voluntary agreement. Imagine standing before an altar, holding a lantern in your hands. The flame is small, but you choose to lift it high, saying, "I will carry this light." That is what it means to respond to heaven's seal. So, when you engage with this word, let it be as if you are lifting that lantern. Press like, not as a casual gesture, but as if you are holding the flame higher, saying, I agree with the light placed upon me. Share this message not as routine, but as though you are passing a lantern into the hands of another traveler in the night. By sharing, you say, I will not keep this fire to myself. I will place it into another's hand. Subscribe not as a button, but as a covenant, as if you are stepping into a circle of light where others stand with their lanterns too. In that circle, your flame joins theirs, and together, the glow cannot be hidden. Your choice is beautiful because it is free. God never coerces the heart, He invites it. And when you respond freely, your act of agreement becomes worship. Worship is not only in songs, it is in choices, in simple responses that say, Yes, Lord, I align. Chosen one. Heaven has endorsed you. The oil has been poured. The seal has been pressed. The Spirit has been deposited within you. You are not walking under human approval, but under divine authority. And when you live from that truth, everything shifts. Even if people doubt, heaven still approves. Even if doors close, heaven still holds the keys. Even if voices criticize, heaven's voice remains louder. You are chosen, sealed, endorsed, and nothing can overturn it. So lift your lantern high. Let your yes be radiant, and let the world see what heaven has already declared. You are marked. You are sealed. You are His. And when you walk with that seal, doors will not intimidate you anymore, for you carry the King's mark, and where His authority rests, no barrier can remain locked. The world may question, but heaven has already spoken. Chosen one. This is your assurance. You don't need to strive for approval. You already have it. Lift your lantern and walk forward. The endorsement of God is enough to sustain every step ahead. There are times in the journey of the chosen when the pace of life suddenly shifts. For years, you may have felt like you were trudging through mud, dragging your feet through endless delay. The prayers you prayed seemed to take decades to echo back. Every promise looked suspended, hanging in the distance with no sign of arrival. Yet when the appointed hour comes, acceleration begins. What once felt immovable suddenly begins to move with supernatural speed. Acceleration is one of the ways God redeems lost time. To human eyes, years may look wasted. Seasons may seem empty. Opportunities may feel gone forever. But in the hands of the Eternal One, time is never lost. It is stored. And when He decides, He compresses what should have taken decades into days, what should have taken months into moments. Think of Joseph again. 13 years he languished in slavery and prison, forgotten, dismissed, mocked. He must have wondered if the dreams of his youth would ever unfold. Yet in a single day, one summons from Pharaoh shifted everything. By nightfall, he was no longer a prisoner, but a governor. What looked like wasted time was actually divine preparation for sudden acceleration. Acceleration does not mean shortcuts, it means alignment. When you finally align with God's timing, momentum carries you further than effort ever could. It is like a river swelling after heavy rains. For years it may have trickled quietly, but when the flood comes, the current is impossible to resist. That is what heaven is preparing in your life. The prophet Amos describes it in vivid language in chapter 9, verse 13. He records the word of the Lord. The days are coming when the reaper will be overtaken by the plowman and the planter by the one treading grapes. New wine will drip from the mountains and flow from all the hills. Do you hear the picture? Processes that normally take time begin to overlap. The one planting cannot finish before harvest already begins. The one reaping cannot pause before grapes are already pressed into wine. It is the language of acceleration, the collapse of delay, the compression of process, the speed of fulfillment. Perhaps you have felt as though life left you behind. You've watched others advance, build, expand, succeed, while you were still waiting. But acceleration means that the years you thought were stolen will be returned, not in the same shape, but in multiplied form. What you thought was lost will reappear as harvest, and it will seem almost unfair how fast the turnaround happens. There is always a holy surprise in acceleration. Sarah laughed when she heard she would bear a child in her old age. To her, the years were gone. But acceleration does not ask for permission from logic. It only asks for faith. And in the fullness of time, Isaac was born. The impossible became tangible. The delayed became delivered. Chosen one. Do not mistake the slowness of the past for the speed of the future. You are stepping into a moment where the wheels of destiny spin faster. Connections will come quickly. Answers will unfold suddenly. Doors will open one after another until you realize the rhythm has changed. And though it may overwhelm you at first, it will not destroy you. For the same God who accelerates also sustains. Think of an eagle rising into the sky. At first it flaps with effort, but once it catches the current, it no longer needs to strive. The wind carries it higher with little movement. That is acceleration. It is not frantic motion. It is effortless momentum. You are about to catch the wind of God's timing. Do not be surprised if what you thought would take years happens in months. If what you thought would unfold slowly, suddenly arrives at your doorstep. Do not be surprised when divine alignment brings relationships, opportunities, and resources together at once. It will not be coincidence, it will be orchestration. And yet, acceleration also requires readiness. To move quickly means you must travel light. This is why the pruning came before. This is why the hidden season stretched long. The unnecessary weight had to be cut away so you could run freely when the signal sounded. Now, as the pace increases, you are ready to keep stride. Chosen one. Your acceleration is not for vanity, it is for assignment. You will move quickly because there is much to accomplish. The harvest is ripe. The fields are wide. And your role is urgent. Heaven does not waste acceleration on the idle. It releases it on the willing, and you have proven willing. So, lift your eyes. The days of delay are behind you. The season of sudden is here. The ground beneath your feet is shifting. The current is rising. The doors are swinging wide. And when you step into this pace, you will realize what others have always known about those chosen by God. When He moves, nothing can stand still. Acceleration has begun. Chosen one. When acceleration begins, it is easy to feel overwhelmed. The pace increases. Doors open quickly. Opportunities multiply. And sometimes your heart whispers, "Am I ready for this?" But heaven has already prepared you. What you once carried as weight has now become strength. And what once felt like endless waiting has positioned you for sudden release. Yet in this season, God calls you to mark the moment, not just in your heart, but with a prophetic act. Moments like this are sacred thresholds. You are not simply passing from one day into another. You are crossing into a different dimension of destiny. These thresholds always require a declaration, a sign that says, "Yes, I recognize what heaven is doing, and I agree." Mon. Think of the Israelites at the Jordan River. For years, they wandered in the wilderness, delay after delay, detour after detour. But when they finally reached the edge of promise, the priests carried the ark into the waters. It was not just a step, it was a prophetic act that opened the path. Their crossing was more than geography, it was destiny. So it is with you. This season of acceleration is your Jordan River moment, and heaven invites you to mark it with a number that carries prophetic weight. The psalmist David wrote in Psalms, chapter 5, verse 12, "Surely, Lord, you bless the righteous, you surround them with your favor as with a shield." That shield of favor is what covers you now. And to declare your alignment with it, type into the comments 555. Why this number? 555 is the number of grace multiplied, the symbol of divine favor surrounding you on every side, the reminder that you are not running in your own strength, but in the abundance of God's provision. Grace is not just pardon, it is empowerment. It is the wind beneath your wings, the current that carries your boat, the oil that keeps your lamp burning. When you declare 555, you are saying, "I step into this acceleration not in fear, but in grace. I step into the open doors, knowing I am upheld by God's hand. I will not stumble, for His favor surrounds me like a shield." Oh, do you see it? Chosen one, favor does not come and go, it surrounds. It is not fragile, it is steadfast. It does not depend on others' approval. It flows from heaven's throne. And when acceleration comes, it is favor that will keep you steady when the pace increases. Let me remind you of a picture. Imagine a ship caught in a powerful current. To the sailor, it may feel impossible to steer, the speed almost frightening. Yet when the sails are filled with wind, the ship is carried forward safely and swiftly. That is grace. Grace is the wind in your sails, the unseen power carrying you further than you could ever row alone. Some of you have felt unworthy of acceleration. You think of your failures, your shortcomings, the seasons where you stumbled, but grace is precisely for the unworthy. Grace lifts where merit cannot. Grace accelerates where strength fails. Grace crowns the imperfect with perfect timing. This is why 555 is your number. It declares that grace, not striving, is the force behind your breakthrough, and your declaration matters. Do not dismiss it as simple numbers on a screen. When you write 555, you align with heaven's language. You step into agreement with divine favor. You carve a mark in the spiritual realm that says, "I am covered, I am carried, I am chosen by grace." No, this number also speaks to restoration, the years of wandering, the weight of waiting, the tears of delay, all are swallowed up in multiplied grace. Where others said, "It's too late," grace says, "I will restore." Where the enemy whispered, "You have failed," grace shouts, "You are forgiven and favored." No. So, chosen one, take courage. As acceleration surrounds you, let grace be your anchor. As opportunities multiply, Let favor be your confidence. And as you declare 555, let it be the banner waving over your life, announcing to heaven and earth that you do not walk alone, you walk in multiplied grace. This is your moment. Mark it. Declare it. Let your spirit and your words agree. Acceleration is here. Grace is abundant, and your destiny is unstoppable. Chosen one. The threshold has been crossed. The waters are parting. The doors are opening. And the wind of grace is carrying you forward. Write it. Believe it. Live it. 555. Chosen one. Before every unveiling of glory, there is always a shaking. It is the pattern of heaven written into the stories of those who walked before you. Mountains tremble before they release fire. Earth quakes before new land emerges. Hearts are unsettled before destinies are birthed. The shaking is not a sign of destruction. It is the announcement of transformation. Think about the upper room. The disciples waited, praying in one accord. And suddenly the place where they gathered shook violently. That shaking was not to terrify them, but to prepare them. It marked the arrival of the Spirit, the birth of the church, the release of power that would turn the world upside down. In the same way, your shaking is the sound that glory is near. Shaking unsettles everything that was unstable. It rattles the things you thought would last forever, but were never truly secure. Relationships shift. Opportunities fall apart. Environments grow uncomfortable. It feels like loss. But in truth, it is refinement. The shaking separates the temporary from the eternal, the shallow from the deep, the counterfeit from the authentic. The apostle wrote in the book of Hebrews, chapter 12, verse 27, the words "once more" indicate the removing of what can be shaken, that is, created things, so that what cannot be shaken may remain. Oh, do you see it? The shaking is not random. It is removal. It is the gracious hand of God clearing away the fragile so that the unshakable can stand. Your life is being restructured. The things that crumble were never meant to define you. The things that endure are the foundations upon which glory will rest. Consider a tree in the midst of a storm. The wind thrashes. The branches break. The leaves scatter across the ground. To the casual eye, it looks damaged. Yet after the storm, the roots are deeper. The soil has been loosened, and the tree is actually stronger. So it is with you. The storm of shaking is not ending you, it is anchoring you. History shows us this pattern again and again. Before Israel stepped into the promised land, the walls of Jericho shook and fell. Before Paul and Silas walked free from prison, the foundations of the jail shook violently. Before Isaiah saw the Lord high and lifted up, the thresholds of the temple shook at the sound of angelic worship. Always, always, shaking precedes glory. This is why you cannot panic when the ground beneath you trembles. Do not mistake instability for abandonment. The shaking is not God leaving you, it is God preparing you. He is rearranging the pieces, dismantling what was built on sand, so that what remains is only what can stand forever. It is not comfortable. It rarely is. Your emotions may swing. Your plans may collapse. Your certainty may falter. But in those moments, trust the process. The shaking is heaven's construction work, clearing the ground for a new foundation. And once it settles, you will see clearly what remains unbroken, and that is where glory will rest. Think of Moses on Mount Sinai. The mountain shook violently when God descended in fire. To the people, it was terrifying. To Moses, it was the holy trembling of glory arriving. The very shaking that made others retreat was the sign that Moses was stepping into deeper encounter. Likewise, what makes others run in fear will be your confirmation that you are near to God's presence. Chosen one, your current shaking may feel like loss, but it is not loss, it is preparation. The friendships shifting, the doors closing, the ground trembling, none of it is random. It is God ensuring that nothing false carries over into your future. Only what is rooted in Him will last. And when the shaking ends, glory comes. Always. The Spirit fills the room. The prison doors swing open. The temple fills with smoke. The mountain burns with fire. Your life will be no different. After the shaking, the glory will settle, and the weight of God's presence will rest on what endured. So do not resist it. Do not cling to what is falling. Do not mourn the branches snapping away. Fix your eyes on the roots, the foundation, the core that cannot be shaken. For when the dust settles, you will see clearly that everything left standing was always meant to remain. Chosen one, this shaking is not your end, it is your beginning. The trembling earth beneath your feet is the sound of heaven drawing near, and when it passes, you will rise in glory, stronger, steadier, and ready for the weight of destiny that has always been yours. There is a crown reserved for those who endure, and you, chosen one, are stepping into the moment where that crown begins to rest upon your life. Endurance is never easy. It is forged in silence, in tears, in seasons where no one applauds and no one notices. Yet it is precisely those hidden battles that qualify you for authority. For crowns are not handed to the comfortable, they are given to the overcomers. A crown is more than an ornament. It is a sign of victory, of recognition, of identity. In ancient times, victors of races were crowned with laurel wreaths. Kings were crowned as proof of their reign. Priests carried golden bands to signify holiness to the Lord. Every crown carried, meaning it was never decoration. In the same way, the crown that waits for you is a testimony. This one endured. This one overcame. This one stood faithful. The Apostle James wrote in his letter, chapter 1, verse 12, "Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because, having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love Him." And this is not a crown of metal, it is the crown of life, the mark of endurance, the reward for those who refuse to quit. The nights you survived, the prayers you whispered in exhaustion, the storms you weathered, none of it has been wasted. Heaven has been weaving it all into the design of your crown. Consider Joseph once more. His coat of many colors was stolen, his reputation ruined, his years spent in prison. Yet when his time came, he was crowned with authority, second only to Pharaoh. His crown was not merely political, it was the vindication of years of faithful endurance. Your story, too, is leading toward vindication. The crown also speaks of authority, not the authority of domination, but of stewardship, the authority to carry wisdom, to lead with compassion, to speak with conviction. Crowns are given to those who have been tested, for untested authority is fragile. But you, chosen one, have been tested. You know the cost of pain, and therefore you know the value of grace. This makes your authority different. It is clothed in humility. Think of Paul, shipwrecked, beaten, imprisoned, misunderstood, yet through it all, his voice carried unmatched authority. He wrote from chains, but his words shook empires. Why? Because his crown was forged through endurance. His authority could not be denied because it was purchased in the fire. Your crown is not only for eternity, it is for now. Every time you choose faith over fear, you wear it. Every time you speak truth when silence would be easier, it gleams. Every time you extend love where bitterness would feel justified, it shines, piece by piece. Your choices polish the crown you carry. The crown also changes how you walk. Those who wear crowns cannot walk as they did before. They carry themselves differently, not with arrogance, but with quiet strength. You will feel this shift. Your posture will change. Your perspective will expand. You will no longer see yourself as forgotten or ordinary. You will recognize that you are crowned. And crowns are not given to the insignificant. Yet, crowns also carry responsibility. A crown is not a finish line, but a beginning. It signals the start of rulership, stewardship, accountability. When you carry authority, you also carry the weight of influence. Others will look to you. Follow your lead. Draw strength from your example. The crown is not for display, it is for service. But do not fear this weight. You have been prepared for it. Every burden you carried, every scar you wear, every hardship you endured, they have equipped you to bear the responsibility of the crown. And because your authority flows from God, not from your own striving, the weight will not crush you. Instead, it will steady you. Chosen one. Lift your head. The season of endurance has not been wasted. The crown is forming, and soon it will rest upon you. You will not only survive, you will reign, not in pride, but in humility, not in arrogance, but in grace, not for your glory, but for His. And when others see the crown upon your life, they will know, this is one who endured, this is one who overcame, this is one whom heaven has honored. And remember, this crown is not fragile. It cannot be stolen. It cannot be broken. It cannot be denied. It is forged by endurance and sealed by heaven's decree. Wear it with courage. Chosen one, for it is both your testimony and your mantle for the days ahead. There are moments in the journey of the chosen when words are not enough. You must declare who you are. Silence has carried you far. Endurance has shaped you, and the hidden seasons have refined you. But now the time comes to lift your voice and boldly proclaim, I know who I am. Chosen one. Your identity has been tested in fire. The enemy tried to label you with shame. People tried to reduce you to their opinions. Life tried to bury you under disappointments. But identity born from God cannot be erased by the voices of men. When heaven names you, nor darkness can rename you. This is why declarations are powerful. They are not empty words. They are proclamations that align your spirit with truth. Every time you speak identity, you silence accusation. Every time you declare destiny, you break the grip of doubt. Every time you open your mouth in agreement with God's word, you strengthen the crown upon your head. The Apostle Paul reminds us in his letter to the Corinthians, chapter 2, verse 12, "What we have received is not the spirit of the world, but the Spirit who is from God, so that we may understand what God has freely given us." Do you hear that? You have not received the spirit of this world. You are not bound by its labels, its limitations, or its lies. You have received the Spirit of God. And with him comes clarity, courage, and confidence. You know who you are because the Spirit testifies within you. Now, here is where I invite you into something sacred. Imagine standing in a vast hall filled with echoes. Your voice is small, but the moment you speak, the sound multiplies, bouncing from wall to wall until the whole hall vibrates with your declaration. That is what happens in the spirit realm when you proclaim your identity. Press like as if you are striking a drum in that hall, releasing a sound that says, "I refuse to be silent about who I am." Amen. Share this message as if you are handing someone else a trumpet, placing courage into their hands so they, too, can find their voice. You are saying, "This sound is not mine alone. It belongs to all who are chosen." And subscribe, not as a casual action, but as if you are stepping into a choir, joining your voice with others who carry the same resonance. In that chorus, your voice becomes part of something greater, a harmony that cannot be drowned out. And as a prophetic act, I ask you to write in the comments, "I choose my crown." And these words are not vanity, they are alignment. They are your way of saying, "I will no longer walk with my head bowed. I will no longer shrink back to make others comfortable. I will no longer question if I am worthy. I choose the crown God has placed upon me." When you type it, you are not just writing for yourself. You are writing for the one who scrolls past in silence, the one trembling with doubt, the one who has forgotten their worth. Your words will echo in their spirit. If they can choose their crown, so can I. Identity becomes unstoppable when it is declared. And once you declare, heaven amplifies, just as the walls of Jericho fell at the sound of a shout. So the walls around your destiny will crumble at the sound of your proclamation. Do not be afraid to speak. Do not be ashamed to declare. You are chosen, crowned, endorsed, and destined. Your voice carries more power than you realize. And every act of agreement, every like, every share, every subscription, every comment is not mere digital activity. It is a symbolic action in the spirit. A beautiful offering that says, "I align with my destiny. Chosen one." This is your moment to roar, not in arrogance, but in truth. Not to exalt yourself, but to exalt the one who chose you. For your identity is not self-made, it is heaven-given. And when you embrace it, you walk in the full authority of who you were, always meant to be. Lift your head, open your mouth, strike the drum, sound the trumpet, join the choir, declare it boldly. You are chosen, and you choose your crown. And when you walk forward with your crown, the atmosphere around you will shift. People will sense authority not because of titles, but because of presence. Your endurance has given weight to your words. Chosen one. Never doubt again you are marked to reign. Wear your crown with courage, and let your light roar into the darkness. There is a moment in every chosen life when the march begins. Up until now, You have endured hiddenness, carried weight, endured shaking, and embraced your crown. But once the crown rests upon your head, once identity is sealed, the signal is given, move forward. And when heaven commands the chosen to march, nothing in earth or hell can halt their steps. This march is not frantic, it is steady. It is not the hurried scrambling of the uncertain, but the determined stride of one who knows where they are going. You have carried enough uncertainty, enough hesitation. This is not the hour of circling questions, but of forward motion. The ground beneath you may tremble, but your steps are steady. Think of Joshua leading Israel around the walls of Jericho. They were not told to run or scramble in panic. They were told to march, step after step, in rhythm, in silence, in obedience. The walls did not fall because of human force. They fell because the march carried the weight of heaven's command. So it will be with you. The walls around your destiny cannot withstand your steady march forward. Marching carries symbolism. Soldiers march in unity to declare strength. Processions march to signify triumph. Pilgrims march to reach holy ground. And you, chosen one, are marching now into your inheritance. Every step you take shakes the ground, declaring that your life will not be ruled by fear, by delay, or by defeat. The Apostle Paul reminds us in his letter to the Hebrews, chapter 10, verse 39, "But we do not belong to those who shrink back and are destroyed, but to those who have faith and are saved." Shrinking back is no longer your portion. The season of hesitation is over. You are not counted among the ones who retreat. You are counted among the faithful who press forward. Your march is not only your own victory, it is a declaration of who you belong to. But here is the mystery of the chosen march. It is both personal and collective. You walk as an individual, but heaven marches with you. Angels align to your rhythm. Creation groans in harmony with your steps. What looks like one person moving forward is actually an army in the spirit realm shifting with you. There will be resistance. The enemy does not yield ground quietly. As you march, distractions will rise. Voices will call for you to stop. Circumstances will try to block the path. But you must remember, the power is not in how loudly you march, but in the authority behind it. The command came from heaven, and where heaven commands, opposition cannot last. Think of Martin Luther King Jr. and the marches of the civil rights movement. They were not armed with weapons, yet their steady march altered history. The power was not in their physical steps, but in the justice that undergirded them. Likewise, your march carries moral and spiritual authority. It is not just about you, it is about the purposes of God advancing through you. Your stride may feel small, but every step is monumental. One decision to forgive moves you forward. One moment of obedience advances the line. One declaration of truth pushes back darkness. Do not underestimate the power of a single step in this march. This march also carries endurance. The walls of Jericho did not fall on day one. They did not fall on day two. They fell after days of persistence, after countless circuits of faith. Likewise, do not be disheartened if results are not immediate. The march is building momentum, and in the fullness of time, the walls will collapse. Chosen one, you must also understand, this march is unstoppable not because of who you are, but because of who goes before you. The commander of heaven's armies is leading the procession. His footsteps thunder first. and yours echo his. That is why nothing can block you. You are not walking alone. You are following the path he already opened. Lift your eyes as you march. You are no longer the hidden one, no longer the overlooked one, no longer the doubting one. You are the crowned one, the steady one, the unstoppable one. Every step is prophecy. Every stride is testimony. Every breath declares, I will not retreat, I will advance. And when the dust settles behind you, others will know. A chosen one passed this way. The land itself will testify that destiny walked upon it, and the walls that once stood unshakable will crumble as proof that God's command is greater than any obstacle. So march, chosen one, with faith, with endurance, with courage. The command has been given, and your steps cannot be stopped. There comes a final call of destiny, a moment when all the threads of your journey converge into a single tapestry. Chosen one. Everything you have endured, everything you have overcome, every tear and every triumph has been weaving together toward this very hour. You stand now, not at the beginning, not in the middle, but at the threshold of fulfillment. Destiny is not an accident. It is the echo of eternity breaking into time, long before you were formed in the womb. Your path was written, the twists and turns, the seasons of silence, the battles that scarred you, and the breakthroughs that lifted you. They were not random. They were the careful strokes of the author, painting your story onto the canvas of history. And here is the beauty. Destiny does not erase the past, it redeems it. Every pain that once felt wasted now becomes purposeful. Every delay that once felt cruel now becomes divine timing. Every scar that once felt shameful now becomes a badge of authority. Your destiny is not something you stumbled into, it is something heaven has been orchestrating all along. The prophet Jeremiah declared in chapter 29, verse 11, For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. And this is the heartbeat of your destiny. It is not fragile, not uncertain, not dependent on the approval of others. It is firm, rooted in the intention of God Himself. You do not have to force it, for what He has purposed cannot be undone. Think of Esther, a young woman hidden in the palace, perhaps questioning why her life had taken such a strange turn. Yet when the moment of destiny came, her uncle's words cut through the fog. Who knows but that you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this? That was her threshold moment, the realization that every twist of her journey had positioned her for impact. In the same way, your such a time as this is now. Destiny always calls with clarity. It does not shout in chaos, but whispers with certainty. It says, this is why you survived. This is why you endured. This is why you could not quit. Destiny is not always about stages or titles. It is about obedience to the assignment placed in your hands. And destiny always carries responsibility. It is not simply about what you gain, but about what you give. A crown is not only for the head, it is for the kingdom. A light is not lit to be admired, it is lit to guide others through the dark. Your destiny is not just about you, it is about those who will find freedom, hope, and courage through your story. Think of the apostles, ordinary men, fishermen, tax collectors, doubters, yet when destiny breathed upon them, their words carried fire, their hands carried healing. and their footsteps carried the gospel across nations. Their lives remind us, destiny transforms the ordinary into vessels of extraordinary purpose. And you, chosen one, are no different. But destiny also asks for surrender. You cannot step fully into it while still clinging to old fears, old failures, or old versions of yourself. To embrace the future, you must release the past. To wear the mantle, you must set down the rags. Destiny does not add to your old life. It calls you into a new one. At this threshold, heaven is not asking if you are capable, it is asking if you are willing to trust, willing to step, willing to believe that the same God who carried you through the valleys will sustain you on the mountain, willing to let go of smallness and step into greatness. Not for your glory, but for His. Chosen one. This is the final call of destiny. The moment where you say, "Yes, Lord, I am ready. Yes, I will go. Yes, I will live as you have marked me to live." And as you step forward, all of heaven leans in. Angels mark the moment. Creation bears witness. The Father smiles. For the story He wrote before time is now unfolding in time, and you are the living proof of His design. Chosen one. Your future is not ahead of you. It is here. Step into it. Wear it. Live it. The call of destiny is sounding, and your answer will echo for eternity. And in that surrender, you will find freedom. In that step, you will find strength. In that destiny, you will discover the reason you were chosen all along. Chosen one. You have reached the end of this journey of words, but not the end of your story. These 17 sections have been a path, step by step, guiding you from hiddenness to unveiling, from silence to declaration, from weight to destiny. Yet now, the true work begins, the living of it. Every truth you have heard is not meant to remain only in your mind, but to become the rhythm of your life. Every image painted here, the arrow released, the seed breaking soil, the lantern lifted high was not just poetry. They are mirrors of you. They are glimpses of what heaven has always seen in you. And here is where you are invited to respond, not out of pressure, but out of freedom. Think of a garden. When rain falls, the soil must open to receive it. Otherwise, the water runs off unused. This message has been rain, and now your response is the soil. Press like as if you are opening the soil of your heart, saying, "I receive the rain that has fallen over me today." Share this message not as obligation, but as if you are carrying a handful of seeds into someone else's field. Your act may plant the hope another soul has been waiting for. Subscribe not as a mechanical click, but as if you are choosing to remain in the garden, to continue watering, to keep tending the growth that has already begun. And finally, leave a comment, not long, not forced, but a simple declaration of what stirred in your spirit. Your words may be the very fruit that gives life to another. Chosen one. The journey continues beyond this page. Lift your crown, steady your march, and walk boldly. The world is waiting for the light you carry.